Good morning, everyone. It's Matt with Downrange Firearms. So today I am super excited about what is coming. If you've been talking to me in the last couple of months, you've known that I'm very much interested in getting my pilot's license. I've been talking about building my own aircraft. Well, big fancy box right here. Plans have arrived. Seems a little crazy, and it absolutely is, but let me tell you a little background about it real quick before we get into it, and then we're going to do the unboxing on the plans. The box has been cut open already, but I have not opened it and looked inside, so I kind of don't really know what to expect. I know that the plans are full scale, 100% scale, so you can build right on the plan, so it's kind of neat from that standpoint. A little bit about why I'm doing this, and this is kind of a big one for me. One, I love aircraft and airplanes, period. I always wanted to, I had an engineering gut to me when I was younger and always loved that concept of building something my own. On top of that, I've always had a thing for old World War II warbirds. Super stoked about those in general. So I got plans for a p40 Warhawk half scale from War Aircraft. If you've ever gone on War Aircraft's website, you can see that they make a bunch of different half scale plans for aircraft, just little single seaters. Interesting little projects. There's a bunch of great ones to follow on like YouTube, and if you go to any of the EAA events or anything like that, definitely a cool thing like that. To my business owners, that can probably relate to this more than anything. I find that when I'm not in my shop or I'm not working on my business, especially now that it's my sole occupation, that it's all I think about and do. So as that's the case, I needed something that was a positive, constructive outlet that's in a completely different direction. Part of that is building that. Now, on top of that, though, as many of you know, I also have property down in Tennessee. We also have a valid FFL in Tennessee. So if you're ever in the Rogersville, Greenville, just north of Pigeon Forge area, I'm your guy. I can take care of you for special orders, transfers, things like that. But as that's the case, transportation would be great. Having my own little Warhawk to make that trip someday would be absolutely cool. On top of that, because you know we are a very pro-military, pro-veteran, etc., another chunk of this is it's going to be an advertisement component. You're going to have downrange written across the side of this thing and underneath the wing, so when it's airborne, you're going to be able to read our information right on the bottom of it. It's going to be right on the side of the aircraft as well. Before it's finished and flying, you're going to be seeing it in parades, things like that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Plus, you're going to see this YouTube channel as well. So as this YouTube channel kind of grows and we get some more exposure and we get more work done, that's what this is going to be about. So we're going to document every component of this project as it goes forward, or as much of it as I can. So you're going to see lots and lots of videos, YouTube updates, things like that. They might not be every day, might not be every week. There's a lot going on at the shop right this minute, but our plans arrived yesterday. I have not opened them. I'm chomping at the bit to see what's inside of this sucker. So super stoked to begin this kind of journey and adventure with anybody who feels the urge to watch. So if you're tuning in, thanks, and you're gonna get to see one of these war aircraft built from absolute scratch, starting at the plans. So let's get into the nitty-gritty and get started with this. Sorry if there's a lot of cuts. My camera only does 5 minutes of filming before we got a break between the two of them. So if you see a bunch of cutoffs, that's why. I'll try to make them as clean looking as I can when we do post editing. But all right, let's get into it. Like I said, this was kind of a Chinese puzzle to put this together. I called Don over at War Aircraft. He's the man that hooked me up. I tried emailing, didn't work and all that stuff. Facebook messaging, I got one response from one thing and then nothing. If you're interested in getting a War Aircraft, call Don. He picked up right away. He was busy at that minute, but he called me back hour later, and we got everything squared away, ordered, organized, all that stuff. And they have some really neat airplanes, whether it's the P51 Mustang, the p40, the p48, bunch of good options, a bunch of the Axis aircraft as well. So if you're interested in that, jump into it. It's really cool. So getting into it, let's pull this thing apart and open. Like I said, the tape job on this was impressive, and I think he press fitted this with something ridiculous. So let's get this box out of here. All right. It's a functioning workshop back here, so apologize for the messes. Hopefully you can forgive me. So, right out of the gate, we're looking at a bunch of plans, and I know some of these plans are full scale, and this aircraft is going to end up being 16 feet long by 20 feet wide, roughly. So just for a point of reference, these are the plans that are required to build this thing. Two 8-foot tables, we've got a 16-foot run, so we should be able to unroll everything, look through them, and have kind of an idea of what we're going in. I'm going to show that one to you as well, and then we'll just keep running. So might as well start right at the top, right? All right. Let's see if anything is labeled from the exterior, and they are not. I'm sure there's a booklet of some kind in here. Oh, there it is. There is a booklet. Let's start with the booklet. There it is. Oh, here we go. Probably relatively important. We're looking at p40 carries getting plan sheet and number sheet, landing gear, microphone. Yeah, so what we have here, schematics and all that good information that goes with it for specific parts. I'm assuming this is included in the 35 sheets because I don't think that's 35 sheets. Fuel system information, rudder attachment. So yeah, this is all the plans, and they're 100% for reference. The plans are 100% full scale, so that they're 100%. So I should be able to build right off these plans, or at least make jigs, cutouts, and all that good jazz right off of here. So they make it kind of really, really awesome. Yeah, there's a ton of information here. Super kind of stoked to go through this in a lot more depth. Like I said, this is a first look, so if it's a little wonky, my apologies. We'll kind of go through it as time progresses. But I'm super, super excited about this whole project, so definitely something to keep an eye on. All right, let's get this guy. We'll put this on my side table here. Start working our way through blueprints. Woo! And I might rewind and then just cut between so you don't have to watch me do all this stuff the entire time. But we're going to give this the old college try. Woo! Short plan. Alright, we got two plans here. See if we can figure out what they are. Like I said, they've got plans and cutouts for everything. This is just for the seat and the flooring of the actual aircraft. Real simple. I mean, like I said, this is broken down to literally every component is traced out here. Wing fittings. Oh yeah, this is wings, fittings, and mounts. So this is actually how it'll actually bolt up from the wing sides, because they're actually removable, so you don't have to have a 20-foot airplane everywhere. So if you need to store it somewhere else, you can do that differently. So here's all of the information on how to go about doing that. And put these guys back together. And we'll touch base again here in a moment. Alright, we got this next sheet open. This is actually the landing gear section. It's kind of cool. The labeling all this says Kitty Hawk, so this was the model, because I know this one was actually built and designed in Australia before War obtained the plans. That being said, when we get ours done, ours is going to be modeled more towards the Warhawk series. Anyway, this sheet is specifically towards the landing gear, spring style landing gear. I'll give you a quick rundown so you can see exactly what these sheets are kind of looking like, and as time progresses, we'll kind of let you see more and more. I mean, they're pretty neat. This is some incredible stuff, and like I said, everything is to scale, so I mean, it's kind of tough to beat that. And again, functioning warehouse, my apologies. But a lot of great detail. I'll kind of go through some of the other ones, show you kind of what all is involved in this process, and then we can kind of go from there. So I mentioned some of the bigger plans on this one. This is one of them. This is the side profile of the fuselage, so take a look at that for perspective. We start all the way here off camera, and then we go down to all the way back here. So right now of this 16-foot long table, we're using about 13 feet of it. Ton of data on here, but it's nice because it shows you exactly where the components are on this. They show you exactly the shape and size of some of the rib structure that you're going to be cutting. So there's a ton of information and data on here, like I've said before, ton of scale parts and all that stuff, so you know exactly what you're cutting out, wire cutting it out. So it's just a really, really neat setup. And then they even show you where you're going to guss it and add strength and all the good stuff that goes with it. So this is actually super, super cool. And they make this so that they make it simple so anybody can do this in a pinch. All right, here's a fun sheet. This is a full side profile of the entire aircraft. From the nose cone where I'm sitting right here, all the way down. Like I said, there's 16 feet of table here, and I've got 2 feet overhang there and about probably 2 more feet of overhang there. Plans are huge. There's some cool stuff to pay attention to on this sheet for sure though. It shows the shape of the cowling area, and I'll pull the camera down here in a second. The wing profile, it also shows that there are multiple wing profile options for this aircraft. So it tells you the ones that are available. So this one's NACA 23015 as opposed to NACA 2301C. Ton of cool stuff here. So they even give you some profile options. Again, this is part of the rating concept that I mentioned, because there's a whole book of them that they recommend you get as well to kind of figure out what's going to best serve your needs. Probably based on power, lift that you want, etc. So a ton of cool information. Let me pull the camera so you can see some of the other additional stuff here, because this is pretty darn neat. So right here, you get the actual engine profile, all the good jazz that goes with that. My arm's fatting in the way. But then you can see all the wing stuff right here. So you can see that NACA information right there, all the way back to the wing portions. Ton of great information there. So the reality is that's pretty darn neat in my book. I don't know about anybody else's thoughts on that, but the fact that they show you that huge profile of everything, you can see that neat nose cone and that frontage. See if I can get that in then so you can see that a little bit better. But you should, in theory. You can see that nose cone right there for where your props are going to go. The inlet underneath for your air inlet for all that is all right below there. So that's that whole process is all put together on this giant sheet that you're going to be using for certain parts of this construction. Really, really cool process. Everything about this is really neat. Everything about this is super detailed. Definitely worth some looking and some consideration for sure. All right, so one of the other priority plans that I would call is the main spar construction, which is basically laminated sections of plywood that are forming the main structural support for your wing assembly. Ton of stuff here. Like I said, we'll give you a close-up so you have an idea of what you're looking at. I mean, there's a ton here. Where the sections are for lightning, where the wingtips are going to go in relation to that spar. There is a ton. As you can see, I'm going through a lot of these plans right now. Ton of information, like I said. Super detailed plans. I'm super excited to get working on this one. I really am. I'm never going to have a shortage of work to do, clearly. But as this kind of progresses, it's going to be really neat. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this is going to kind of progress and starting to build from itself as we make some headway on this one. So let's see what next important section I can dig into. So before I really get into it, I want to talk about some of the other building materials and research materials I got into. So on War Aircraft's website, they have a reading list of sorts, which covers a bunch of books, data, builder's guides, things of that nature. This is one of them right here. Home Builders, a Handbook for First-Time Builders by Frank O'Brien. I know he's built multiple war aircraft specifically. This one in particular is about his construction of the F-4U. The book is technically, and he says there it's not specific for the F-4U. It's pretty darn close though for this one. But what it is specific for is war aircraft construction in general. So he covers a lot of the stuff that he runs across, kind of a changing the order, what they suggest in the plans, things that you want to do ahead of others. So it's a great, great guide. I've read through this one already once. Probably going to read through it again before I start a lot of the real construction on this thing. So it's definitely worth consideration. Go through that reading list and definitely get it. They'll talk about the tools that you need to go do, the skills you need to learn. And they really make it feel like it's something that anybody can do, because most of the concepts is just, they're really, really simple concepts. none of this is exactly rocket science. It's just a combination of a huge combination of a ton of skills, but relatively simple skills. Are there some things that are more complicated? Yes, especially the welding. But for the most part, most of the stuff is pretty straightforward. It's daunting just because of the sheer size of it. They project 1,000 to 1,500 hours for build construction for a first-time builder. So it's definitely worth getting the additional resources and going through that. So let's get into the plans a little bit more. All right, so I kind of got through everything, lots and lots of plans available. I still have more I can go through. I'm not gonna do every single plan that's on there because that would literally be hours and hours and hours of video, and I don't think anybody's really interested in tuning in for that. To say the least though, you get to see some cool examples of some of the stuff that's available in this. I'm super stoked to get started on this. Don't expect a video again in the next day or two. I'm hoping to get started on this in the next couple of weeks. My tables have a little bit of use that they need to get under their belt before I can snag those for that purpose, but hopefully you're going to be seeing me move into our garage soon and starting some of the construction stuff like that. But for the next couple weeks, we'll be gathering some basic materials to get rolling. And we'll probably go from there. Probably in the next few days, I'll do a video showing you some of the equipment that I have already, because I already bought some of the tools and got prepped ready for that. So once I do that, I'll probably do another continuation on this one from there. But thanks for tuning in, guys. Check us out if you're interested in firearm stuff. Definitely check out the website, Downrange CC. Stop in the shop, 303 Cherry Avenue, Rochelle. If you're just curious and here for the airplane stuff, by all means, tune in and enjoy.